Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good afternoon. The devotional today will be led by Representative Troy Hedrick of Burlington.
Got it? Good afternoon. Please forgive the gravelly voice. The member from Fairfield indicated yesterday that I had originally been scheduled to read this poem yesterday, and then he approached me and asked if he could have the podium for his birthday. And I had this beautiful aha moment when I realized that the member was born on April Fool's Day, and everything suddenly made just a little bit more sense. So I was happy to oblige. The member shares his birthday with Gil Scott-Heron, and I want to celebrate that birthday with one of his poems. For those of you who know Gil Scott-Heron, I will not be reading Whitey on the Moon. I will not be reading The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, but those are two of his iconic pieces that certainly drew me to the artist. For those of you who don't know him, he was a spoken word artist who paired himself with jazz musicians to recite his works about the social and political issues as America was emerging from the civil rights era of the 60s and the 70s. Significant influence on the hip hop genre, rap and slam poetry. Refers to himself as a bluesologist, a word, his own term, a scientist who was interested in the origins of the blues. I'm going to read a piece from his album, Winter in America. The album spoke about the cold, dark winter of our country's civil rights movement and the struggles therein. And this piece, it's called A Very Precious Time, evokes his nostalgic hope for a coming of the spring out of that winter of darkness. I thought it was a fitting poem for an early April day when we still all wonder whether or not it's going to show up. It's called A Very Precious Time. Was there a touch of spring? And did she have a pink dress on? And when she smiled, her shyest smile, could you almost touch the warm? He wasn't your first love. A very precious time. Was there the faintest breeze? And did she have a ponytail? And could she make you feel 10 feet tall walking down a grassy trail? Wasn't your first love a very precious time? And now they've got me trying to define in later life how much her love means to me, and if it keeps me struggling to remember my first touch of spring. Was there a touch of spring in the air? And did she have a pink dress on? And when she smiled her shyest smile, could you almost touch the warm? Wasn't your first love a very precious, very precious, very precious time?
Members, we have two Senate bills for referral this morning. The first is Senate Bill 142, which is an act relating to a pathway to licensure for internationally trained physicians and medical graduates, introduced by Senator Harrison and others. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
S-142, an act relating to a pathway to licensure for internationally trained physicians and medical graduates.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Health Care. And Senate Bill 190 is an act relating to the Green Mountain Care Board, reference-based pricing, and studying the creation of a public health benefit authority, introduced by Senator Lyons. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
S-190, an act relating to the Green Mountain Care Board, reference-based pricing, and studying the creation of a public employee health benefit authority.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Health Care. Members, we have received requests to read 4 House concurrent resolutions that the House and Senate adopted pursuant to the consent calendar. The first is HCR 232, which is a House concurrent resolution congratulating Malik Hines on being named a National After School Association's 2026 Next Generation of After School Leader. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas the educational and recreational activities offered in after-school programs serve as an important element of the day for many youngsters. And whereas one of Vermont's premier organizations offering after-school services is the Boys and Girls Club of Rutland County, for which Malik Hines of Castleton, who previously worked at the Boys and Girls Club of Burlington, serves as the respected director of operations. And whereas the staff, volunteers, and youngsters associated with this Rutland organization all recognize that Malik Hines is an enthusiastic and talented individual whose role is critical to the institution's smooth management. And whereas annually, the National After-School Association celebrates outstanding early career professionals who are making a meaningful impact in the out-of-school time field through leadership, dedication, and a passion for helping youth succeed. And whereas the selection panel had the challenging task of narrowing the pool of more than 140 outstanding nominees to just 30 individuals to be admitted to the 2026 Next Generation of After-School Leaders cohort. And Malik Hines was delighted to be one of these individuals. And whereas these superb young after-school leaders were honored last month at the annual convention of the National After-School Association held in Washington, D.C. And whereas the Boys and Girls Club of Rutland County is incredibly proud that Malik Hines is a recipient of this extraordinary and much-deserved national recognition. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly congratulates Malik Hines on his being named in the National After-School Association's 2026 Next Generation of After-School Leader. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to Malik Hines and the Boys and Girls Club of Rutland County.
Next is HCR 233, which is a House concurrent resolution honoring the 2026 nominees for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America's Vermont's Youth of the Year Award. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas the Boys and Girls Clubs of America provides youth with the skills to become responsible and successful adults and community leaders. Whereas since 1947, the Boys and Girls Clubs of America has conducted a national competition to honor one exceptional club member as the National Youth of the Year, Boys and Girls Clubs Association's highest honor, who serves as both an exemplary ambassador for the Boys and Girls Club youth and as a strong voice for all of our nation's youth. And whereas the journey on the path to selection as National Youth of the Year includes local, state, regional, and national rounds in which many outstanding youths who embody the values of leadership, service, academic excellence, and healthy lifestyles are local nominees. And whereas potential National Youth of the Year who have participated in the organization's year-round leadership program are role models for other club members and serve as representatives to the community at large. And whereas the Vermont Youth of the Year are state nominees for the Regional and National Youth of the Year competition is being named today, April 2nd, 2026 in Montpelier. And the three contenders for the state level award are Abdili, Luke, and Tyler, representing respectively Boys and Girls Club of America's Burlington, Brattleboro, and Rutland local clubs. And whereas each of these three outstanding youths are present today to be legislatively honored, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly honors the 2026 nominees for the Boys and Girls Club of America's Vermont Youth of the Year Award. And be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to each of the three youths recognized in this resolution.
Next is HCR 235, which is a House concurrent resolution congratulating Sophia Parker of Addison on her selection as the 80th Miss Vermont. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas over the course of 8 decades, many outstanding young Vermont women have been honored to serve as Miss Vermont, and this proud tradition has continued with the selection of Sophia Parker of Addison as Miss Vermont 2025. And whereas her interest in participating in the Miss Vermont competition dates to 2015 when she was crowned Miss Vermont's teen. And whereas Sophia Parker earned a bachelor's degree in nursing at the now Vermont State University Castleton campus and is employed as a registered nurse on the staff of Bayada Home Health Care. And whereas she is applying her nursing skills as a medic with the rank of sergeant in the Vermont Army National Guard. And whereas achieving the honor of serving as Miss Vermont remained a personal goal, and despite her busy schedule, Sophia Parker devoted the requisite effort to this objective and was rewarded on May 4th, 2025, when she was named the 80th Miss Vermont. And whereas this honor included a $7,500 scholarship and a $5,000 grant to enroll in the Ellis Strategies Public Speaking and Presentation Program. And whereas on September 7th, 2025, Sophia Parker served as Vermont's outstanding representative at the 2025 Miss America competition in Orlando, Florida. And throughout this past year, she has been a dedicated ambassador of the Miss Vermont Scholarships Organization, speaking to young women across the state concerning the scholarship and community service opportunities available through the organization. And whereas Sophia Parker's community service initiative is entitled Wildlife Rehabilitation and Stewardship of the Natural World. And with her mother, she co-founded Otter Creek Wildlife Rescue, a nonprofit organization that rescues and rehabilitates Vermont's birds and mammals. And she is Vermont's youngest licensed wildlife rehabilitator. And whereas Sophia Parker has served with distinction as Miss Vermont 2025, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives, the General Assembly congratulates Sophia Parker of Addison on her selection as the 80th Miss Vermont, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to Sophia Parker and the Miss Vermont Scholarship Organization.
And finally, HCR 236. It's a House concurrent resolution celebrating the importance of manufacturing industry in the Vermont economy and designating April 2nd, 2026 as Manufacturing Day at the State House. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Whereas Vermont's manufacturing industry generates an economic impact of $2.92 billion, and it represents 7% of Vermont's gross state product and consists of 7% of the state's workforce, which translates into 26,900 jobs across diverse industrial sectors of the state's economy. And whereas manufacturing plays a pivotal role in the growth and development of both rural and urban communities throughout Vermont, representing businesses that are renowned globally and at the forefront of innovation across various industries. And whereas Vermont's manufacturers contribute significantly to fostering strategic relationships between the state and neighboring regions, including New England, New York, and Canada, as well as the broader local and global economy. And whereas innovation and diversification of Vermont's economy are exemplified by industry leaders who prioritize community values in their operations, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the General Assembly celebrates the importance of the manufacturing industry in Vermont, in the Vermont economy, and designates April 2nd, 2026 as a Manufacturing Day at the State House, and be it further resolved that the Secretary of State be directed to send a copy of this resolution to Associated Industries of Vermont, the Regional Development Corporations of Vermont, and the Vermont Chamber of Commerce, and the Vermont Manufacturing Extension Center.
Are there any announcements? Member from Fairfield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and apologies to everyone for having to listen to me twice in 2 days. To understand the member from Barrytown, you have to understand where he came from. In 1944, the most feared name in Cambridge wasn't a mob boss or a longshoreman. It was Fig Fingers Francis, a 5-year-old who ran the East Cambridge docks with an iron fist and a very sticky lollipop. Francis's gang, the Porter Square Pirates, controlled the lucrative black market of stolen marbles. While other kids were learning to tie their shoes, Francis was organizing a sophisticated protection racket. You gave him half his sandwich, or you tell your mother you said grown-up words behind Leechmere Station. It was well known that you didn't cross Francis or his enforcer, a St. Bernard named Rufus. The law finally caught up with him in the spring of '45. After a high-stakes standoff with misplaced silly putty, the boiling point had been reached. It was time to go straight. His name still instills fear in the mean streets of Boston to this day. In fact, the character played by Jack Nicholson in The Departed was named after him. Francis's parents had an epiphany aided by clergy intervention. The boy needed to change his wicked ways. Finding an appropriate avenue to channel his obvious leadership abilities and powerful presence for good rather than evil was the big question. One day his family was walking past a hockey rink where young Francis's interests became quite clear. Hockey would be his new path. His parents bought a pair of rusty skates, and Francis hit the frozen marshes of the Charles River. By age 6, he had gone straight. He realized that hitting people with a stick was frowned upon in the streets, but on ice, they gave you a trophy for it. He traded the life of crime for a life in the crease. It became his life. He played throughout school and into college, playing at BU before becoming a coach and spending a lifetime passing his knowledge on to future generations. And I know you're all wondering, how did a boy named Francis become a man named Topper? Well, I'm going to tell you. In his very first game, he got hit so hard that he spun and spun and spun over and over until a voice from the crowd shouted, "Hey, look, that kid is spinning like a top." True story. I met Topper on my first day 8 years ago when I walked into Human Services where he was the ranking member. He took me under his wing and gave me guidance and even provided corrective action when necessary, otherwise known as a lot. When he wanted to give advice or find out what the heck was wrong with me, he said, "Jimmy, let's take a ride." And off to the elevator we went for a private counseling session. We took a lot of elevator rides over the years. You never have to guess what Topper is thinking. He will tell you, and it will be the truth. You'll know when he's mad by a simple tell. The phrase, "you people," appears out of nowhere. Anybody knows Topper knows. I'm proud to call Topper my friend, to have learned so much from him over the last 8 years. And even though I'm mad that he is leaving me to deal with Gina and Teresa alone, I'm beyond happy that he is going home to spend his time with his greatest love, his wife. We can all aspire to be the person that Topper is. He is worthy of the praise this week and beyond. His mark has been left and Vermonters have been well served. So I end with this. Thank you, Big T, for your friendship and guidance to me and so many others who have come and gone during your tenure as the member from Barrie. And for your 5+ decades of service to Vermont. You are loved and respected for a reason, and we will miss you.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Ferrisburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have heard the resolution read here this morning or this afternoon about the amazing accomplishments of Sophia Parker, Miss Vermont 2025. She lives in the town of Addison, Vermont, and is here today with friends and family in the balcony. Please help me welcome Miss Sophia Parker and her friends and family to the State House.
Will the guest of the member from Ferrisburg please rise and be recognized? Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, I just want to take a minute to honor the member from Barrytown and his open mind and his open heart by just sharing a tidbit about each. The member of Barrytown, the member from Barrytown has demonstrated an open mind as my co-chair of the Universal Healthcare Caucus. Many people are surprised that it's led by a progressive and a Republican. And what we learned together was in Saskatchewan, universal healthcare was established by a coalition between the Conservatives and the Labour Party, not the Liberals. So hopefully someday, open minds like Topper will help us solve some of our greatest problems. And let me speak for a minute about his open heart by sharing a little story from the House Healthcare Committee, where I've served with him as he has been the vice chair for the last few years. Madam Speaker, when we were hearing testimony about gender-affirming healthcare, we had families and youth come in to speak to our committee, opening their hearts and sharing their hardships with us. And there was a dad and a kid, and the father was saying how much it broke his heart that his child couldn't tell him who he really was and how long it took and everything that this man did for his kid. And I remember Topper, I remember the member from Barrytown saying, if he was my kid, I would have done everything you did. And reaffirming for this father how much he did for the kid. And I'll always remember afterwards him giving that kid a big hug and thanking that kid for coming in. And that's just one example of his open heart, Madam Speaker. If only there were more open hearts and minds in this world, like the member from Barrytown.
Member from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and echoing the sentiments of the member from Barrytown. Madam Speaker, it is my honor to welcome to the State House 3 outstanding young leaders from Vermont's Boys and Girls Clubs, this year's Youth of the Year nominees. Abdiel, Luke, and Tyler, representing respectively BGCA's Burlington, Brattleboro, and Rutland local clubs. These students represent the very best of our communities: leadership, service, academic excellence, and a commitment to healthy, positive futures. Today, we recognize not just their achievements, but the promise they carry for Vermont's future. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating these remarkable young Vermonters.
Will the guest, the member from Hartford, please rise and be recognized? Member from Rutland City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We just heard the resolution honoring Malik Hines on his being named a National After School Association's 2026 Next Generation of After School Leaders. Malik is from South Burlington, Vermont, and a graduate of Castleton University with a BS in physical education and a concentration in health and physical activity promotion. He now lives in Rutland County with his 2 dogs, Max and Ruby. Malik has been part of the Boys and Girls Club movement since 2015. He is passionate about creating safe, fun, and supportive spaces where kids can discover who they are and who they want to become. Whether it's playing sports, exploring the outdoors, or tuning up the music, Malik believes young people thrive when they can be their authentic selves. In addition, Madam Speaker, if I may, I am very proud of the nominees for the Boys and Girls Club Award, and I'm especially proud of Tyler, who is the winner of the Youth of the Year for the Boys and Girls Club of Rutland City. I ask that the body please give them a warm welcome. Thank you.
Will the guest, the member from Rutland City, please rise and be recognized? Member from Essex.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to recognize with us today the dedicated providers, volunteers, and advocates that are gathered at our State House in support of free clinics, including the vital work of Vermont's Free and Referral Clinic Association. Clinics that are represented here today include the People's Health and Wellness Clinic in Barry, the Open Door Clinic in Middlebury, Valley Health Connections in Springfield, the Dr. G. Richard Dundas Free Clinic at the Greater Bennington County Services in Bennington, the Good Neighbor Health Clinic in White River Junction, and Health Connections at Gifford Medical Center. Free clinics are a lifeline in this state for thousands of our neighbors, from working families, seniors, and individuals who fall through the gaps in our healthcare system. They deliver not only essential medical, dental, and mental health services, but they also deliver dignity, compassion, and hope. Vermont Free and Referral Clinics and clinics like it rely on the generosity of volunteers and community partners to meet urgent needs every single day, and their work reduces strain on emergency rooms, it improves public health outcomes, and it strengthens our communities, and I hope you will help me welcome them. And they're in the card room today, all day, so stop by and visit.
Will the guest of the member from Essex please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Stowe.
Madam Speaker, in the spirit of today's recognition, who recognizes givers, it's my honor to welcome a young constituent, Gabriel Latourney. Gabriel, as a fourth grader in Stowe following floods, got together with some of his young friends and raised funds to help provide relief. That was as a fourth grader. Today, he's now a student, a middle schooler at the Common School, I believe it's in South Burlington, where he continues these efforts, and he and his friends have raised substantial funds in support of this year, the Westford Food Pantry. He's seated in the balcony, and he's accompanied by his mother, Adriana Latourney, and a former representative from Westford, Julia Andrews. And I would hope that we would honor these guests, visitors, particularly for the philanthropy of someone this young who is putting their values of the youngest generation that are engaging in civic philanthropy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Will the former member and the guest of the member from Stowe please rise and be recognized? Member from Pownell.
Madam Speaker, you recently heard Secretary celebrating Vermont and recognize accomplishments of our state's economy and to the employee base that finds meaningful work within that sector every day of the year. A number of the individuals within that sector were on hand today, along with the Vermont Chamber of Commerce. You sampled some of the Cabot cheese that was left out in the cafeteria. I'd like to take a minute to welcome the many members of the sector who spent their time with us today. They're seated in the balcony, and please help me welcome them.
Will the guest of the member from Pownell please rise and be recognized? Member from West Rutland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The first thing I want to say to the member from Fairfield is well done. And with that, Madam Speaker, I move to journalize the comments from the member from Fairfield.
The member from West Rutland requests that we journalize the remarks of the member from Fairfield. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have journalized the remarks of the member from Fairfield. Are there other further announcements? Member from East Montpelier.
Madam Speaker, we have a special guest in the balcony today. He is my stepfather-in-law and the former member from Worcester.
Will the former member please rise and be recognized? Member from,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Member from Essex.
Madam Speaker, I move that we journalize the remarks of the member from Burlington.
The member from Essex moves that we journalize the remarks of the member from Burlington. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have journalized the remarks of the member from Burlington. Are there any further announcements? Member from Bennington.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As the member from Pownell just announced that today is Manufacturing Day, I'm delighted to introduce a few guests that came up from Bennington representing our Career Technical Center, Southwest Tech. Austin Bortel of Shaftesbury, who is a co-op student with Mack Molding, which makes a wide range of manufactured goods here in Vermont. Aiden Higgins of Bennington, who is with Daly's Precast and the Heavy Machinery Shop, and he's also an active member of the Bennington Rural Fire. And Josie Aurora of Shaftesbury is a work-based learning student preparing to take on metal fabrication and welding with a local company in our area next year. They're joined by two of their faculty, Justin Mizell of Bennington, Southwest Tech's manufacturing teacher, and Ali Elwell Zayek of Arlington, Southwest Tech's work-based learning and co-op coordinator. Madam Speaker, would you please help me welcome them to the State House? They're seated in the gallery.
Will the guest of the member from Bennington please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Milton.
Madam Speaker, I'm excited and proud to introduce my granddaughter, Sophia, to the House Chamber. I'm huge into memories and wanted to share with my granddaughter the excitement I feel when I walk through these Capitol doors every day and working with such wonderful people. Making this memory with her will be forever in my heart. Madam Speaker, members of the House, please help me in welcoming Sophia to the House. She is seated in the gallery.
Will the family of the member of the guest from Milton please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Member from Barrytown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, sometimes in your life, you take a father's prerogative and you do something that your oldest daughter says, no, don't do that till tomorrow, Dad. I have someone who I love very much has come to the State House today to hang out, and I would like all of us to welcome her to the State House. She's in the gallery. Catherine Mary Williams. And her last name used to be McFawn.
Will the family of the member from Barrytown please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Orders of the day. Members, we have one bill on our action calendar today, and that is Senate Bill 210, which is an act relating to access to autopsy reports. Please listen to the third reading of the bill.
S 210, an act relating to access to autopsy reports.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have passed the bill with proposal of amendment. Members, that completes the orders of the day. May I see all House leaders at the podium, please? The House will stand in recess for a moment. Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Members, earlier this afternoon, your House Education Committee voted out their education transformation bill. We are waiting to introduce it so that we can refer it to the House Ways and Means Committee pursuant to House Rule 35A. It is my understanding that we will have the bill in 2 to 3 minutes, so the House will stand in recess until the fall of the gavel, approximately 3 minutes. Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Will the House please come to order? Members, we have a House bill for introduction. House Bill 955 is an act relating to next steps in transforming Vermont's education system, introduced by the Committee on Education. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 955, an act relating to next steps in transforming Vermont's education system.
Now the bill's been read the first time, and as a committee bill affecting the revenue of the state is referred to the Committee on Ways and Means pursuant to House Rule 35A. Members, the chair also has a reminder for you. This is your last chance to order a house photo. Please see Teresa in the clerk's office to assist you after floor today if you would like to order a photo. Are there any further announcements? Are there any further announcements? Member from Pownell.
Madam Speaker, may I move that the lovely remarks of the member from Milton be journalized?
I'm sorry,
remarks
what?
from the member from Milton be journalized from the announcement earlier?
Member
from Milton, who
Representative Steady?
Yes.
Okay. We have several members from Milton, sure. The member from Pownell moves that we journalize the remarks of the member from Milton. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and you have journalized the remarks of the member from Milton. Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, member from Poultney. Can you please offer us a motion to adjourn until Friday, April 3rd at 9:30 a.m.?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion this body stand in adjournment until Friday, April 3rd, 2026 at 9:30 a.m.
You have heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and this body stands